Hello, my name is Luna, and you're listening to Infinite Souls, a podcast for that real talk about consciousness, spirituality, and realizing our infinite potential. Mucho, mucho love and light. Hello, Infinite Souls, and the Quantum Inquisitors are here in the house. What is up, everybody? Say hey. I got John and Sifu in the house. Say hi, guys.
Hi, guys.
Hello.
Sifu always gotta be smart with it. Just kidding. I love it. You guys are amazing. For all you guys listening, this is a mini series within the Infinite Souls podcast, and John and Sifu are good friends of mine who I have been blessed to be able to meet in the infinite Ableverse and universe and internet. You know, I love the internet. I get to meet so many cool folks, and these two guys are amazing. So why don't we go ahead and just introduce ourselves so people get to know who we are. And I will not go first. So one of you guys.
Go on, Johnny John.
Johnny John.
Well, there's not much to me, I guess. Just like everybody else. I've always been interested in quantum, the unseen. Always trying to do more trauma work. I think that's been my central focus, is just trying to free myself of trauma. So I live here in Connecticut, so it's not much else.
There's a lot more, but we'll let you off of it for this second.
Yeah, we'll let you start probing. Yeah, we'll start asking questions for sure.
Yeah.
What about you, Sifu?
Oh, okay. So, hello all. My name is Sifu Boggie. Sifu means guide me. Somebody points you along the way, guide you on your path. Boggie is my martial art, my spiritual, and my healing name, and it means the balancer between the chaos and the calmness. And for the last 40 years, I have studied the Taoist arts. The Tao means the way, the path to balance, and I have studied things like Tai Chi, Qigong, Tic Ta, Tui Na, Chinese massage, reflexology, acupressure, many things. And my goal, my mission right now is to help you heal you with the techniques I do. So I've helped myself, I've helped many people with fibromyalgia, chronic pain, IBS, stress, anxiety, migraines, many different ailments and injuries. And my goal is to help you find your own Tao, your own way, your own path. And that's my blurb over. Over to you, Luna.
I love it. I love your blurb. Yes, thank you for your teachings, for helping all of us online. You're really an inspiration. And John, you're much more than just a guy out in Connecticut. You have an expansive brain, and he loves to conversate about all of this consciousness stuff. And very, very deep. He gets very, very deep and opens up a lot of ideas in your mind, you know? So it's infinite. I just wanted to say that. And me, I'm Luna. Most of you guys already are familiar with me. I'm a singer, songwriter, healer, Reiki healer, sound healer, and conscious content creator. I also have an online business, which is a spiritual shop where I make all kinds of creations because I'm an artiste. That's one of the identities I have, I guess. But yeah, that is me. I'm from LA. And yeah, I'm excited to be here. So let's start asking questions to each other. I want to get to know you guys a little bit more and get to pick your brains. So, Johnny John, I'll ask you, what is your purpose?
Honestly, I feel like that's unfolding for me every day. I used to think this was my purpose, and then it's oh wait, I kind of just, I don't know. I feel like it's just something that you don't have really words for. It's just a being, an overall reason that you came here to have an effect on people energetically, and just you kind of just ripple it all out as you go out through your about your day. You know, it's not, for me, it's not anything specific. I feel like I can choose anything in life, and it's not going to matter as much as my overall purpose for being here, just to be a conduit and just continue to help raise the frequency of the planet. You know, so I think it takes all of us, really, you know.
Mhm. So you think that that's the purpose of life? The purpose of life. What do you think the purpose of life is? To us help each other raise the frequency?
Yeah, heart to heart. Like, honestly, I think for me, being human is like just heart to heart connection. Like, I think the purpose is to just have a life where you have enjoyment. You know, I think more simple it is, because we keep complicating things. But I think at the beginning of it all, it was supposed to just be meant to enjoy it. Just enjoy it. Find passions. Find ways of expressing yourself creatively in any way that you choose. You know. But
Yeah.
yeah.
What about you, Sifu? Just existing, I think.
What's the purpose of life? I think, well, not that this is a matrix or a simulation. I think this is an educational tool. It's more like a learning game. It is a game, but I think it's a learning game. I think the whole point is to learn and expand. And I mean, when my Sifu, like, I was 12 years old when 11, 12 years old when my Sifu said, I have met you many lifetimes. You have been my Sifu and I have been yours. It's my turn to be yours again. I went, yeah, that makes perfect sense. You know, it doesn't sound crazy at all. And the whole idea, and like when I read about the ancient story of there's a little difference between soul and consciousness. We can pick all that another time, but I use the word consciousness. That our consciousness, our individual consciousness, the you that makes John, the you that makes Luna, that inside this body is so big that it expands the whole universe. That it's huge, it's massive. And so in this body, your mission is to expand your consciousness or open back to that size of that consciousness. So the whole point of the stuff I do, the qigongs and whatnot, is to expand. I've got to look him up. There's an awesome American philosopher who talks about expanding your awareness, expands your consciousness, which expands your perception of reality. So the more you learn, the more that you grow, and the more you expand. And when like people say, you've got so many techniques under your belt, you've got so many things. And I came from my Sifu's very much believed everything you learn enhances everything else you do, and everything you learn helps you grow and flow. But hey, what do I know?
Yeah. Well, we consciousness, right? And consciousness is ever expanding.
Exactly.
Consciousness is infinite, I think, right?
Always trying to expand.
It's infinite. It's always expanding.
Well, okay, I'm going to throw this out here. I'm going to be a bit of a devil's advocate, because that's one of my things. So a lot of people use the word soul. Soul is Latin. It comes from solion, which means body of breath. And it actually is indicating trapped that you're only alive in your body of breath while you're alive, while you're breathing. And so it was almost that to be, or you have to reincarnate back onto Earth, because you can only live on Earth. You're trapped in the body of breath, the soul. That's why I use the word consciousness, because when you look at other definitions, they were saying, no, we are formless, shapeless energy, that our consciousness has no true form. That's why, we can be a rock, we can be a tree, we can be a planet, we can be a sun, we can be a cell of, we can be an atom, we can be all these things, because we are actually formless and shapeless. So I prefer the word consciousness over soul, because, but then again, a word only means what you say it means. So, you can change its meaning.
Yeah, definitely. That, about words, I love words. I'm a songwriter, so I read a lot. So when you were talking about the word, how it came from Latin, so I was thinking, okay, in Spanish, the word for soul is alma. And so I looked up what alma means. The root word is also, it comes from Latin, with the alam. And it means nourishing. So So that's interesting, you know, because we nourish the body, right? We nourish, and we also talk about nourishing the soul. Like we can nourish the soul in a way. So nourishment to me is like being alive, thriving, actually living like alive, just being alive, you know, the vibration of life. It's for me, but life is a vibration. It's like it's just, yeah, that's what it is. I can't explain it any other way. That's how I feel it, you know. And
Well, you know, you said you're a songwriter. We actually have to redefine that. You are a very awesome, very beautiful sounding song singer and songwriter. Let's just put it out there. I'm just saying, like, but it's that thing of you know, like, you know, the things you're passionate about also sort of shape the way you see things. Because there's a thing called NLP, neuro linguistic programming, and one of the things, if you, so for a songwriter, I would say listen to this concept. How does that sound to you? So I would use those certain words to, and it goes that other way, is that you resonate more with vibration and sound because of certain things. Now, John, he's actually one of the things that, you know, it's, oh, I'm only this. You're a full-time dad. You are a full-time freaking philosopher. I've heard the concept. I mean, that you know, most people I know who talk like you do have been on a mountain for 30 freaking years. You are a micro grower and you have a full-time job. Are you freaking Doctor Who or what? You know, how are you folding all that into this reality? You know, we're talking about consciousness, time, and stuff. You do a freaking lot. You are more than you make out, mister. Well, I'm just saying.
I've tried to make my life as chaotic as possible in a more unconscious state of being in my earlier years. And I've had to learn that the chaos is the only place I can master myself, because it forces every bit of darkness, every bit of anything you have not looked at. You're going to have to, if you want to remain in balance, if you just keep piling on the responsibilities.
Yeah, there's order in chaos, you know. It looks like chaos, but it really isn't. I love that. Yeah, but being a full-time dad is no fucking joke, dude. Like, come on. I've seen those videos with where you have your kids with you. It is, you are living in chaos in a way, you know. Because kids can be chaotic. They're learning, they're stumbling, they're falling, and you get to see all of this unfold, and you get to do your own learning process, and you're healing your inner child by, you know, raising these kids.
I might actually have to start calling you John Boggie, because that's what Boggie means. Boggie means the balancer between the chaos and the calmness. That's its actual. It was a title given to me. My first title is my daughter's second name, which is Taiso or Taiso. And Taiso means, well, it means supreme lower chaos or big trouble. So I'm big trouble, and so is my daughter. But you'll definitely have the essence of that chaos and that calmness. You, John, you know, you definitely, you know, balance things off. So, you know, that's why I find it very funny. When you know, oh yeah, there's not really that much about me. You know, my name's John, and I'm just here trying to figure out my path. Freaking hell! How much path have you got, dude? So, all good. It's all good.
All your darkness too, so it keeps you very humble. It definitely does. I feel like if I was off in a cave somewhere, I wouldn't have mastered myself by now, and my ego would probably be like this big, you know, because it really humbles you to make the mistakes and to do all these things, and just it's a constant learning experience. Yeah, and my children are definitely my biggest teachers for sure. I don't know what I'd do without them, no matter how much they cause me grief. They're my greatest blessing. Yeah.
Oh, cute babies. Yeah, man. I don't have any kids, but I helped raise my goddaughter when she was born. My sister lived with us, and she had like postpartum depression. So me and my mom like helped a lot. And so it's definitely, it's you learn something new every single day. And it's so freaking insane. It's so crazy. And I love to watch kids because they are in a different brain wave state than we are. they're like in theta, I think, which is like when you're in like the dream stage, right? In the dream state. And then when they get older, they go to eventually I think they end up in delta, but oh, I'm sorry, my thing is running out here of time. But eventually they go up to these other brainwaves where they're more conscious, but they're basically like dreaming, like that's why they see things that are not there. Like when they're little, you'll see them like looking around and stuff like that. So I think that's super, super interesting. What do you?
Some people call that God consciousness, you're still in that brainwave frequency where you're still connected to source in much more than, I feel like after 7 years old, we kind of disconnect ourselves. That's when all the programming starts to like take effect into our behavior patterns and whatnot,
Yeah, for sure.
And,
So
and the thing of the pineal gland. So the pineal gland, they were doing case studies with the MRI scans back in the 90s, and the pineal gland was picking up infrared and ultraviolet. Now they didn't actually do they didn't officially do children case studies, but there is this thing that there's something that happens in the that we can actually see infrared and ultraviolet. And we can actually even pick up the magnetic field, like the North Pole, like birds, and we actually have that capability, but there's something in the brain that's blocking it. And there was suspect that is something to do with teenage, that in the teenage years, that something happens that actually blocks that information. But so like that thing of like when we talk about fairies and whatnot, is that eyes pick up infrared and ultraviolet. If you ever have a spare bit of cash, go and get a ghost camera. There's it's a or for the next episode I'll actually have a proper name, but there's a ghost camera which actually looks at infrared and ultraviolet, and you do it in the daytime, and there's weird shit flying around in the sky. Not just you have like machines, but actually creatures flying in the sky. There's weird things that we can't see that are there. So this is interesting when kids saying, like, oh, I can see this, or I talk to this person, and we turn around and say, don't talk to imaginary people because people will think you're crazy. And it's like, hold up, but we go to see a psychic who's talking to, what we can't see, but we tell our kids off for doing it. Our kids are, the Taoists would say they're closest to the Tao, they're closest to that God source, so they still have those abilities. But becoming adulthood, a lot of those get turned off because we get, sort of scared into, oh, don't do this, don't do that, or you have to be there, even to that point where we're told off of fidgeting. And actually, fidgeting is actually really good for the human body, because it actually relieves stress and tension. So that whole idea of actually moving about fidgeting actually relieves tension within the body. And we're told off as kids to sit still, stand up straight, and then wonder why in our 20s, 30s, and 40s we have all this stiffness and achy, and feel 100 years old. But hey, what do I know?
I think that what happens to us is trauma, to be honest. I think that everybody not inherits trauma, but as a whole, we all go through that. That's how we learn. But because I remember when I was a kid, I don't have a lot of memories when I was a kid, and that happened because of trauma that I had. I put a mental block, and it was after that age, I think I was like 4 or 5 years old, but I don't remember much of my childhood, and before that, I don't remember anything at all. So that traumatic memory is one of the earliest memories that I have of my childhood. And so you do put mental blocks on your own to protect yourself. There are protection mechanisms that you do psychologically. And so I think that that's what happens to most of us. But I know what you're talking about the birds that can detect the electromagnetic field, and that's how they guide themselves, right? So it comes from a crystal, and this crystal, I think it's called, it's something like hematite, but it's not hematite. It's that in that family, but it's kind of metallic in a sense. And that crystal is actually found in the pineal gland. And when you meditate and you bring up those spinal fluids, it activates those crystals, and that's what allows you to transcend time and space. And so that is your inner guidance system too. So it makes sense that it would be there, and birds use it for guidance. You know what I mean? So that's super, super cool. My Zoom meeting actually is running out of time, so I'm trying to upgrade here, but we can continue talking. So, so go ahead.
Well, I was going to actually ask you, Luna. So, you know, I know you have a great passion for like music, like songwriting and music. And when did that start for you? And is that a healing thing for you?
Doing music definitely is healing for me. I started doing music. Well, I started singing when I was very, very young. So I was talking about this on Ibo earlier, but I don't know if people probably have not seen the episode, but so when I was a little girl, my family has like memories of me singing in the car seat in the back of my aunt's van. And I don't know, like it's when you first start to speak. What is that, like 4 years old or something, or 3, or you would know, John. So that was the age.
Like 2 or 3. Yeah, maybe 2.
Okay, so 2 or 3. So that was the age that I was singing, and I was making up songs, and I was singing in Spanish because Spanish was my first language, because my mom only spoke Spanish to me when I was young. But anyway, so I was singing and making up songs as a little girl. And I always sang my whole life, always sang by myself in the shower, in front of the mirror, just, you know. And I did have, you know, I had a stepbrother who would not make fun of my singing, but he would tell me to shut up. And I get it, like, okay, it could be annoying to hear a kid singing all day. But that caused some trauma for me with my self-confidence. So I wasn't able to sing in front of people. I was very scared of that. And then in high school, I was in choir. So that pushed me out of my comfort zone. We traveled to sing at different high schools that were special needs schools, and we sang at the Disney Concert Hall. I got to sing for my graduation as a soloist. And so after that, I tried out for American Idol. I tried out for a school in Hollywood that was a singing school. And both of those experiences, they also created some type of trauma or resistance within me, because the music industry really, I was disillusioned by it. Like I was like let down kind of by the industry, seeing that they didn't really care a lot about talented artists. They really just cared about making money and entertainment. And so that, plus me not being confident, I gave up music. I didn't sing or write a song for like 8 years. And then in 2015, I started singing like on just like by myself, like on my phone. There was this app that was a singing app. And then in 2019, I decided that no, it was not 2019, 2017, 2018. I decided that I was going to write an album, an EP, and that was going to be a healing experience for me. because I was gonna write what I was feeling. Writing songs, writing an album is very personal, and it takes a lot of time. It takes a lot of tears, a lot of energy, emotions.
So you were talking about you got to the album bit.
Yes. Before we got rudely interrupted by Mercury retrograde, who doesn't have no manners. I was talking about my music, and where did I leave off again? I'm sorry, Sifu.
So you talked about your music, and you got to that you started to create an album, and writing an album takes a long time, and also it's like, you know, opening into your soul, isn't it? I would say, you know, because you're writing lots of different songs. But anyway,
so, right. So we cut out right at the good part. Oh my God. Right when I was like getting really into it. So I decided to write this EP for myself as a spiritual journey, because it is a spiritual fucking process to write an album or an EP, because it's not just one song. You're writing this whole thing, and then you want it to be a certain way, and then you have like a vision for it, and then you have to find people to work with, you know, because you can't do it all by yourself. I mean, you can, but it's better to work with others, to collaborate, and it not only does it expand the project, but it makes it much better, you know, because you get other artists juices in there, because they got more creative stuff. And also, since I was just beginning to do music again, I was unfamiliar with the music programs, so I didn't know how to mix or master my vocals or the beats or anything. And so I had to find somebody to mix and master my EP. I went through 3 guys. They just like, one of them had like a jealous girlfriend that didn't want him working with me, and stopped working with me. He just totally like didn't stop answering me. And then the other guy took my money. He didn't give me my songs back. He just disappeared also as well, kind of. And then finally the last guy, he worked on a couple of songs, but most of them I did myself with help, you know, from friends who knew what they were doing. And so every song is a piece of your soul. You're bearing your soul, you're bearing your heart, a story. Even if you make up the story, you're feeling it, you know, like you're in the vibration, you're channeling that energy when you are writing the song, when you are expressing this sound and lyrics and everything combined. And it takes forever to make a song. So of course you feel like it's your child, like you birthed it. And so, so that was a spiritual process for me. I finished that in 2020, I believe. That's when it came out. And then now I'm writing a mantra EP. So I'm still continuing to do that. But I still want to continue doing music, but I want to incorporate my sound healing now that I am a sound healer as well. I want to incorporate the sound bowls and maybe some light language once I get that down, you know. So that is my journey through music. It's a long one. My whole life, basically.
I was going to say, it was actually something interesting, because you said about, oh, you know, I haven't had any children, and I was thinking in my head, well, I know you're a songwriter, and that's, you know, that's creative process. That is, you know, you are creating, you know, it's this thing in like business. A business is technically, you know, a new life form. You know, a business has a world of its own, and I've always loved listening to music. Got big ears, so I love music. It's I've heard a lot of people say about songs, they take on a life of their own, or they have, you know, a love relationship with one, or a love-hate relationship. It was like, I don't know if you know Boy George from the UK, and Come a Chameleon. He said he had a very much of this love-hate relationship, and he went off of these great big tangents. And he was on The Voice, and somebody did a tribute of his song, but did it in this really like really blues, really this female, and she done it really slow. And he went. It took him about 3 minutes to realise it was his song, and he went, "Oh wow!" And you know, it blew him away because he said, "I never thought to do it like that." And it's that whole thing that, you know, like music, you know, I see music as like energy, because the whole idea you can totally change the rhythm of a song, and it totally changes the song.
Yeah.
It changes the feeling of the song.
Yeah, the food, the food, the feeling, the mood. I was gonna say mood and feeling, the food. It does really change it just by changing the octave, you know, because lower tones feel more down here, more sad, more scary, you know, and the higher tones are more angelic, more etheric and stuff like that. But I'm curious, John, I'm curious to ask you, what started your spiritual awakening? Like, what was the beginning of it all, and what blew your mind open? Because you have a very, very deep, expansive mind that I want to, you know.
That's a good question. I don't know. I feel like I was an atheist for a while, or I would say probably by definition agnostic. Like, I need proof and then I'll believe it, kind of a thing. But I'm open to it. And I don't know. There was just something inside me. Like, I was never religious. I never really, other than like my grandma, she was like Lakota Indian, and so they did like sweats every weekend or whatnot. So I did that as my childhood, and I think more like that Indian Native American way was kind of the only thing I would have considered religion at the time. But I don't know. I feel like I just slowly, I hit like rock bottom so hard in my life that I had no other choice but to have like faith in something greater than me, you know, or I was just gonna like die, because like there's nothing, you know, you need some sort of light. And I just knew something in my heart was like, there's something much greater, and I'm gonna continue going after it. And just I expanded from there. I constantly just kept taking in information, and then I learned how to really, you know, go to the heart where you're kind of like shutting the mind down. And then that's really when things took off for me, when I was really going within more and more, and kind of connecting in. I feel like now I'm just connected. And before I was always searching for this deeper connection and just feeling like it was empty, because I don't know, you're like a seeker for a while, you know, you're a seeker for a good time until you end up being a finder. And then it's a whole nother from there. Yeah.
Do you have any practices that you do, like daily practices, spiritual practice?
I keep trying to meditate or do something, and I can't stick to it. The only thing I really can stick to is just going to my breath, because it's always available, you know. So whatever you're doing, just even if you're not doing a deep breath, just become aware of the breath, and you'll automatically start breathing deeper, because you'll realize how shallow you normally breathe. Because I always had anxiety like constantly, so it's like I needed a practice that I can do all the time, like any time of the day, all day if I have to, and that was the only thing that I could go to.
Or breath work. You could try breath work too, because breath work is about to do with the breath, and that is moving the energy, the chi, right? You know, Sifu. You could say that.
Yeah, well, I mean, I would say like, well, obviously I know you do, but even if you didn't meditate, I would still say you meditated, because as a singer, you're focusing on that song, the feeling, and you, dear sir, I would, because I know about your microgreens, and I want to talk about it in a second, but the whole idea to grow stuff, you need freaking concentrate. You need to actually focus on it and do a practice every single day. And meditation, see, the thing is, people with meditation, they think you have to cross your legs, you put your legs around your ears, go on a mountain and say Om. You know, that's a meditation, but that's not the only meditation. You know, riding a bike, focusing on what you're doing, or even driving a car, but being aware of your surroundings. That's a meditation. Fishing, swimming, singing, doing gardening, growing microgreens, where you focus on one thing and forget everything else. That is a meditation.
Being in the now.
Yeah, very, very much so. And I keep mentioning the microgreens. So and we've said this on Ibble. Join Ibble. But we mentioned it on Ibble, that's Boggie's not so subtle Jedi mind trick on you. Ibble you're seeking for. But anyway, so we had this conversation on Ibble, but the microgreens, what got you into them, and why? Why do you do it? And what are microgreens?
How did you learn? How did you learn? Another question.
Everything on YouTube. You can literally learn how to do anything you want on YouTube. But I don't know. I actually found out afterwards why I'm so into growing. But it was just this huge drive like 3 years ago to just grow. Like I became obsessed. And if you asked me a week before, I would have been like, why would I ever want to do that? It just seemed like a ridiculous idea. And then I just got obsessed. And I just couldn't stop. I turned my whole basement into a garden, and then I just gutted all that and turned it into a microgreen business. And just like, I'm just gonna do this. And I don't know, because microgreens are easy. You can grow it all year round. You can do it in a tray, so you don't need a lot of space. You can grow it vertically. So like with like 200 square feet, you can grow a lot of greens. Like you would start a business. So you really don't need a lot of space. And nutrient density is phenomenal. Like an ounce of the broccoli microgreens is equivalent to 40 ounces of actual broccoli, which is like 2.5 pounds. And an ounce of microgreens is like this little like handful. It's really not much. So you couldn't beat it. It tastes way better. But I found out afterwards, because I don't talk to anyone on my biological father's side of the family, but apparently my grandfather died in 2019. And then like that exact month that he died is when I became super interested in growing. In his obituary, he said he was like this avid grower, and he grew peppers in his basement, and he gutted his basement too, and like did the same thing. I've never met this man in my life. So I feel like it's almost like we take parts of other people, like those are our simultaneous lives in a way. Actually, I mean, yeah. And so, you know, you kind of pull in all aspects from those lives, and we're kind of merging them all together through like this process that we're going through, essentially, you know. Yeah. And so I think that's why I started growing, because just spirit. I don't know. I found something more that kind of I pulled into me. I don't know. Yeah.
You may have done it in another life.
Go on, Nina.
Oh no, I said you may have done that in another life. Like you may have been very connected to the earth in another life, growing plants and agriculture and things like that. Because usually what we're interested in this life, we have a connection from, we've done before. So we're already familiarized with it. That's why it resonates.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah, there's an old ancient thing on that, or they say your habits, your skills, the gifted skills are things that you've done in the past. And I remember saying that so many times. And you get smart Alex that say, well, what about computers? And my answer is always, do you think we're the only civilization that had computers? Really? Mm-hmm. But anyway, yeah. But you know, growing is a spiritual practice. It's definitely, you know, the monks of ancient, spiritual people, they grew because it's connecting with Gaia, connecting with the earth. So it's, it's it's earthing, the whole idea, mm-hmm. Literally grounding the body, especially because the whole thing of the heart has electric and magnetic energy running through it. And so, like earthing, that's why you always feel better when you got out in the garden or got in the woods. Me is the ocean, but though not well. I don't technically know what that's actually like, but lots of people say, well, when I go ice skating on the ocean, around the ocean, Boggie, you're like you're on crack cocaine, and it's like, okay, I'll take your word for it. I haven't a clue, but I'll take your word for it. So
I think whenever we're connecting to nature, we're connecting to more of ourselves. They're just an extension of ourselves. And that's why it feels so good, to just be inside.
Yeah, it definitely is an extension of ourselves. Like I was listening to Alan Watts, and he was talking about we came out of the earth. We're from the earth. We're part of it. But I wanted also to mention working with plants and herbs and stuff like that. I got really into working with herbs, so I'm learning herbalism. How to heal the body with all that. And when I'm reading this book called The Green Witch, and it's about creating magic, but with the elements, with the earth. And you have to have this love and reverence for the earth, meaning also all of its inhabitants, which are also other human beings. But it also teaches you in that book to connect with each plant spirit, because each plant has its own spirit, its own vibration, right? It vibrates at a different frequency than you vibrate at. And so when you're working with it, if you just get into that present moment and just like feel, you know, without your five senses, but feel the energy, you will connect with the plant, and you'll start to feel its vibration either in your hand, or it'll transfer into your body. It's a very, very out of this world experience, but I've had it done when I was doing a lot of herb stuff. When I was working with lavender, when I would touch the lavender, I would feel its vibration. Like that was high vibrational plant for me. So yeah, that's awesome. You're doing spiritual work by doing that.
Yeah. And there's that interesting thing with there was a scientist. He was actually he was a I don't know the name, the term, but he did lie detector work. You know, there's a certain name for it. You know, baker does bread, whatever the name for a lie detector person is. But he was a scientist, but studied lie detector, and he one day decided, which I think just that alone is like, how, why? But he decided to put lie detectors onto plants and see what happens. And he found that they actually read your thoughts, that lie detectors, if you said thinking nice things, it would the frequency would raise, and if you was thinking nasty things, it would actually drop. And then he did it with words, he did it with music, and even to the weird, even to the interesting side of that, he would leave these plants on the lie detector, and he ate a tomato and crisp sandwich, and the plants got distressed. They got distressed because they could actually know that he was eating the plants, which that takes everything into a whole new concept, because there was already quantum physics saying that atoms are conscious, that atoms, when they were trying to split the atom, it was moving out of the way like it knew what was happening. But when you got the whole thing of plants, what they found when they blessed the food, when he did a prayer on the food or he blessed the food, the plants felt better. So it's this real interesting thing that, he's like, we talk about the spirits. So I think we're talking to the spirits of the plant, but we're also probably talking to the plants themselves. They definitely appear to have a consciousness, even to the fact where there was this interesting case study done where they had plants, and they had some plants constantly playing rock music, constantly playing opera, and constantly playing like pop. And individual some of the plants really grew, really blossomed in those different musics. Some didn't, to the point where when they swapped them around, they found, this plant likes rock music. This plant likes jazz. It was a really weird case study, but it was a really cool one that they actually found that it wasn't they plants like a particular music. They seem to like different plants like different music. They seem to like go to certain types of music. So if you have plants at home, play music to your plants.
That's amazing.
Yeah. So it's very cool. And I know apparently there was my brother's actually a police officer in the UK, and he once told me of that one of the cannabis houses, because in the UK it's still illegal. Just put it out there. No, not necessarily in certain parts of America, but in the UK it's still technically illegal. So there was a cannabis factory, and they were actually playing music to the plants because they said it made it taste better. So it was even to that there was classical music being played to marijuana, which I thought was even more awesome. It's like so there you go.
Yeah, it makes the cells organize more uniform. I actually sent that video of the experiment that he did with the plants and eating the sandwich, that the plant felt it. I sent that to my friend the other day, and he's like, "Oh no, so the plants they're feeling it when we eat them?" I'm like, "Yeah, but you gotta pray for it," And I said, I think that the reason that they feel better after you pray for them is because you're offering gratitude, and at that point it becomes like ceremonious, like kind of a ceremony, like they're not just giving up their life for nothing, it's actually going to a good place,
And
and it
and
transmutes the energy.
yeah. I think, and again, what I'm about to say is maybe a little bit controversial, but the ancient tribes. I know the American Indians, but all ancient tribes, they would, whether it was plants or animals, they would bless it. They would thank it and offer, praise and thank. So, thank you for giving up your life for us to have some sustenance. And they would bless everything. And that's where, some people still, give praise at the beginning of the meal. That's where that all comes from. That whole idea that that everything is energy and everything is aware, consciously, but we feed off each other. Everything, eventually will become worm food or whatever. But the whole idea is the circle of life. Everything is actually connected to each other. Unless you become an oxygenator or breatharian and go and live up a mountain and just tea. No, I did a little bit of it, but I knew I was part of a case study that studied went to Tibet and there's actually a group in China as well who did it, and I was with the scientists and I had to look after the scientists. I don't know what I was looking after them for. Maybe they thought Yeti were going to come and take them or something, but I had to look after the scientists who were studying these oxygenators or breatharians. And yeah, they had a little bit of water every single day, but they meditated, did qigong, and lived purely off oxygen. But you have to do certain things. You can't do it in the city. There's too much stress and too much electrical interference. It has to be in certain places to be able to do it. But it's like I say, if you need right now we need food, but you bless it, thank it, beloved, gratitude, forgiveness, and unconditional love. They should be your mantras.
Yeah,
really,
yeah. No, and I do believe that eventually, once we are more of our light bodies are in, we're not going to be needing so much food. But people are realizing that now when the whole vegan movement started, people became plant-based, a lot of people, and they realized that you don't really need that much food when you're giving your body the right things. And when I started meditating, when I got when I started doing Reiki, when I got attuned to the Reiki energies, I felt like I downloaded so much light, and I would forget to eat sometimes. I'd be like, what the heck? And before I would like nonstop eating, and so but now that I'm used to the Reiki energy, now my eating habits, they kind of change, and as a woman, like, we go through our cycles, so we get hungrier sometimes. um but yeah, I do. That's very interesting about the breatharians. I mean, I love food. I'm a Taurus moon.
I'm an ex-chef and baker. I love food. But I've done that sort of stuff. I've done that sort of training, and it's there. But it's but the point is, you love what you love. So if you love food, then eat food. Enjoy it. But don't. I think it's when you're doing it. Well, I see you see people and they're just shoving it down their throat just to eat, or they haven't got time to appreciate it. I haven't got time to enjoy my food. And what's the point? What's the point of eating then? You might as well just go and have a protein shake. Though you should be eating, you should be going to John and getting some microgreens. That's what you should be doing. But
anyway. Our intent with our food too, I think, plays a huge part in how it affects our health. Like, for instance, like when I started growing is really when I started building a connection with my food. I never had a connection with my food. I would just literally scarf down food as fast as I could, and I would never even give it a thought. And now it's like, the more I connect to it, the more I'm growing it for myself. I'm more grateful for it. and that puts that positive intention into the food that I'm eating. Like, I feel like even if you're eating a cookie or a burger, don't make it wrong. Just put a loving intention, like, thank you for this nourishment. Like, and then that way, all your cells will respond with that positive intention, you know? Yeah.
Yeah.
Feel the difference. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I think that's the big. If I could teach anything, is don't make anything bad.
Yeah.
You know, is that I've seen too many people. They'll do something, and they're berating themselves, or I wish I could stop smoking, and it's like, well, you'll never stop smoking if you keep saying you wish you could, because actually you don't, because you keep wishing to wish. You know, and it's our intention, but I knew there was like the thing with smoking. Like, you know, I actually knew a Qigong lady who did Qigong all the way from 6 years old. She smoked 60 a day from the age of about 18 all the way up to her death at 106. And when she died, she had it in her will to look at her lungs, and when the surgeon looked at their lungs, they say, well, I think it was, I can't remember her name, but let's say it's Sue. It says, this is not Sue. It can't be Sue. It says, well, no, it's definitely Sue. It can't be. And they were getting really adamant about it. And they said, well, why? He says, there is no lung damage. She's famously known for smoking ever since she was, ever since she was 18 years old. She should have damage on her lungs. That this can't be her. This cannot be the woman. And they were adamant. And there's this, but it goes into things like epigenetics, is that the way you think and feel literally affects your health. So love what you do, you know, even your vices, love them, you know, or don't do them. Simple, but don't berate yourself. I think we need to change that, you know. We need to change the world by changing ourselves. Stop telling ourselves off the stuff we do, and find some way to love it and do it.
It's because you put the attachment making it wrong, so then you materialize that. You know, wherever you place your emotions is what you're going to materialize. So that's important to keep in mind.
Yeah, and your words and your thoughts, they hold a vibration, and that vibration gets, transmitted outward, and that creates a ripple effect, and that creates your reality. Like, and it creates an effect on other people as well, not just on you, it bounces. So it's like the experiment that they did with the rice, right? Where they had one rice bowl in a controlled environment, two of them. One, they spoke hate to it. They say, you're ugly rice, I hate you, you're the worst rice ever, fucking hate you rice. And the other bowl of rice, they spoke love to it. I love you, you're the best rice in the world, you're so amazing and tasty, yummy. And then after 3 or 4 weeks, they checked on both of them, and the one that you spoke hate to, that one was rotted, it was black. And the one that they spoke love to was still fresh and tasted good. And then they had a control one, which they didn't do anything to. And that one just kind of stayed the same, but was kind of slimy in a little bit. So that just proved that your words, they actually have a vibration. They affect your environment. They do something to it. So you can do this experiment at home, in a controlled environment.
They did the same thing with too.
Exactly. Do you talk to your plants? Do you
Yeah, honestly, I do. I when I tuck them into bed at night, I'm like, all right, good night. Like, I just say something nice. So I'm like, thank you, you guys are doing great. Like, something encouraging. And it seems to be working. Things are growing and nothing's dying that much. So
that's good.
It's like that thing, like when people talk about like Reiki. Reiki is energy. Energy is information. But sound is information, thoughts are information, your feelings are information. Everything is technically information. So Reiki this. Well, you send loving thoughts to it. You send for the moment you get it. I mean, I know that in both in China, in the Taoists and the Buddhists, the monks there, they will bless every single day. So they bless the soil and they would chant, they would sing to the soil, and then the plants that are growing in it, and they all the way through its process, they will chant it and bless it. From the moment it's sprouting to the moment they consume it. It's blessed all the time. and I will say, like, you know, that I've had, you know, had meals, like really basic meals, you know, like lettuce, and they call it, so in China, broccoli and cauliflower is the same word. It's basically baby tree. So it's either baby green tree or baby white trees, broccoli and cauliflower. So I've had rice and baby trees, and you know, and it tasted amazing. It tasted really, you know, really good. And that's the thing, is that when you know, and there's actually, you know, certain agencies that we may or may not mention, they've done all the case studies on this. They know that the universe is conscious. They know that everything actually interacts and feels everything else. And so we've sort of either been led to believe, or we've lost the connection with ourselves, which means we've lost the connection with everything else. We're not like it. When we was a child, we talked to everything. We talked to the fork, we talked to the earth, we talked to the worms, we talked to the sky. And it's like, why was that bad? You know, the ancients did that all the time. They just called that chanting or prayers, you know, talking to the spirits. But that's what we did. And for me, I think we sort of need to get back to that, you know, or at least some version of it, you know, is as long as it, you know, it makes you feel good, or, you know, the whole idea of just being a child again, and allowed to play and sing and chant and activate things. And it does change. Yeah, you do, like I say, do Luna's experiment with the rice. It really does change stuff when you start talking to your food, or even just if you want to talk, send loving thoughts, you know, send chi, send Reiki to it at least. But hey, what do I know?
Yeah, everything is conscious. And what I wanted to say was, since your plants are living with you, John, they are very connected to you. So they're going to reflect your inner state as well. So if your plants are doing good, that means you're doing good. If your plants are dying off, that means there's something you need to adjust. You might be off of alignment a little bit. So yeah, that's a really good indicator. It's really to have plants like near you. Yeah, like when I wasn't taking care of myself, my plants were dying, you know, and I'm still trying to learn how to keep a plant alive, because, you know, my plants have died off, except for the two that I have that like this one. Those are my bamboo plants, and those are the only ones that have really survived with me for a long time. But yeah.
I mean,
So
lots of know about, but yeah, you gotta do your research.
so
Well, it's interesting. Oh, sorry, go ahead.
Each plant is different, right? Like it requires different types of sun and water.
Oh yeah, different soils, different types of pHs. Like it all depends what you're trying to grow. You made me think of a good point though too, or a good topic that I heard once. Like if someone said, if you are a farmer and you put like a seed or whatever in your tongue or underneath it, get some of your saliva on there and then plant it, it'll somehow know like what you're deficient in. Say you're like iron deficient or whatever, like it'll grow, or it'll be a higher concentration of what you need based on your DNA that you like watered the seed with initially. And I thought that was very interesting, how you can really have a connection like to that degree. Yeah.
Wow,
that goes to the ancients. The ancients, I know, like the Taoists talk about that, but when I say ancients, I'm also talking pre-modern societies. You know, that's part of the information that the Sanskrit is said to talk about. You know, yeah, is that it joins your it joins your spirit, your connection, and it creates a bond. And I'm pretty sure it was like in a lot of the ancient tribes would do that as well. You know, the shaman would do that. They would put that seed, like seeds, in your mouth, and then they would grow those seeds, and that would be your medicine. That would be part of your medicine.
Ah.
Wow. Yeah, customized to your DNA. And like, wow, yeah, that's so fucking ingenious.
I know there's been case studies on that as well. There's definitely been, like with food science and whatnot, they have studied that. It's always this interest. They do sort of like, you know, these very interesting, weird ones. So they've done ones with that, you know, trying people's saliva. I remember seeing that as a case study. And the other one I was really interested in, because I love bees and honey, is that I had friends back in the 90s in the UK, and they put raw honey, so not pasteurized, raw honey onto hearts, actually onto the heart in a heart transplant. So raw honey, covered it into raw honey onto the heart, 100 hearts, and the failure rate, you know, the rejection rate was down to less than 1%. People healed a lot better, and there was a lot less issues with those 100 people. And like I say, it was literally in the body. You know, when you mustn't put, the stuff. I actually, from that, whenever I get a cut, if I've got any honey, you know, preferably like raw or manuka, I'll put it on a cut, because I know the healing effects that they have. And they were actually studying, and this is the weird one, that they were studying honey, like honey all over the world, and even local honey. And there is 2% of honey is still unknown to man. So there's something that is in the bee that genetically you can almost say alien, because they have not detected it anywhere else. They do not know what it is. There's a substance, 2% of any honey, not so it's the bees.
Mhm.
There's something in the bees that's still not known to man. In the bees.
Wow, that's amazing. And that, I mean, it's so amazing how the earth and us, we're meant to live in symbiotically, like just in harmony, and the earth can heal us if we have a cut or something. Like the indigenous people knew this. They rubbed plants on it and mud and things, you know, and but now I think that what it's important to focus on is changing the way that we look at medicine and how we heal our bodies, because a lot of people now are sick, right? Because of society and how it has evolved. But now it's time to heal. So now we're all healing ourselves. And a lot of things that are coming out, like epigenetics and the Dr. Joe Dispenza work, people are realizing that they can heal themselves with even just their mind, you know. And also there's adjustments that you make to your lifestyle that go along hand in hand with the meditation. So living a holistic way and approach to life is going to be, I think, our future. And it's very important what you're doing, John, that you're connecting with the earth and you're getting to know the earth and how to grow, because that's going to be very much needed in the future, I think. And it's also connecting us back to Mother Earth, to our mother. You know, our mother has been taken out of society, at least over here in the West, you know, where I'm from. But so this is all amazing, and all this conversation really brings me to what our next episode is going to be about, which is going to be about consciousness, because we're talking about the consciousness of everything, right? Plants, you, me, everything. And I think I'm excited to talk about that. Are there any other topics you guys want to talk about before we end the show?
Well, I did want to add in there that I feel like in terms of like healthcare, because I work like as a nurse, so to me it's like so interesting to see that like chemistry just continues to not be like sufficient. It's going to keep failing. Like I feel like the new future of medicine is going to be really frequency, really physics, and what technology we're going to build from that won't have side effects, that won't have issues, that'll work with our consciousness to really have like next level healing, where disease is really not a big deal anymore. It's just like everything's kind of curable. But with chemistry, it's never going to work that way with pills and big pharma. There is, I know that for now it's definitely been very useful, you know, but yeah, I would say the future is definitely physics. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I would definitely, yeah. Well, physics, you know, the whole idea of the one thing I always found. So I'm an ordained barefoot doctor. which is sort of just a healer of sorts that uses medicine, massage, qigong, different philosophies. But I'm also a Dragon Dog shaman, and that's sort of more. So the Dragon Dog shamans are sort of like ancient quantum physicists. And the reason I say this is when I really got into Nissan Herriman. He's a really cool dude, and the sort of things he was talking about in quantum physics. And when I started looking into that, I said, hold up. He was like, for one of the crazy things he said was like, there's a black hole in the center of the sun, that the evidence is showing there's a black hole in the center of our sun and every star. And then he didn't stop there. Oh no. He then said that in our atoms, there appears to be a tiny micro black hole as well. That we are actually a representation of, that our atoms are a representation of the sun, because there seems to be this a micro black hole. And the Taoists and the ancient ones talked about this. They talked about the sun being a stargate and visitors coming from the sun, through portals in the sun. But they also talked about the portals in us and the suns in us. And so, you start looking at quantum physics, and they've been actually, they discovered the meridians, they discovered the auras, they discovered the Tora field, the tridial field, which is the bioelectrical field around the heart. They start finding all this stuff through science, and they're actually proving the old knowledge. So when you say about like the whole physics, it's like, yeah, but I think it will be old knowledge. Just we proved that this exists. I'm hitting a bottle. For those of the audio world, I'm hitting a bottle. But it's the whole idea of, I think they'll just clarify what the ancients already knew. But I definitely think it's definitely the future is that there's lots of things like reflexology, acupressure, acupuncture, tuina, the stuff I do. There's now so much case studies showing it's not pseudoscience. It's not, but even the whole thing, you have to believe in it for it to be true. Well, that's called epigenetics. That's even a science. That's actually real. And so 100%. I definitely feel that the future is us looking into energy more. Physics is energy. It's about us looking into energy. But hey, what do I?
Spontaneous remission, that's why it's like possible too. It's like that innate DNA. It seems like everyone who's had spontaneous remission where they can't find cancer cells and they were stage 4 the day before, it seems like most of them or all of them, I don't know the exact numbers, but they pretty much were all saying, I just made an intention, I made a strong-willed decision that like I'm gonna beat this, or I'm and then it just happens. And then the placebo effect, you see it every time, but no one seems to care about that part. They only care
hey, maybe this is another show, because all the placebo and nocebo is basically whether you positively believe or negatively believe. Science has proven that you are 80% likely going to be right. There's actually a scary thing for I don't know if John, you know this, but like in the UK there's only I think 2, but everywhere in the world there has to be at least one. Like placebos are done as a common thing, and they actually have a placebo chemotherapy machine, so it just makes the noise, and they have to use it as a test thing. And there's 2 in one in England, one in Scotland, and there's normally like one in the country, and it's like a top secret thing. Boggie, bad Boggie, letting away secrets. But to go in that chemotherapy machine, they still lose their hair, they still burn their skin, because they think they're having the real thing. They're hearing the noise, they've been told what it does, and it affects them. And it's like mind blowing. It's like that is science right there. But this is why both Dr. Joe Dispenza and Dr. Bruce Lipton, and now Joe Dispenza and Bruce Lipton, because they literally gave up their doctoring. Bruce Lipton was he taught at a medical school, and he also studied. He was studying epigenetics, and he stopped being a teacher because literally what his science was proving the books were wrong.
Yeah.
Blow your mind, that's why he gave up being a doctor, because his science, the experiments he was doing, was literally saying that these books are wrong, the medical books are wrong. And that's the that's the biggest thing, and that's the funniest thing for me, when you've got to believe in it for it to work. No, yeah, that's 100% right. It will actually work though. That's the point. If you and I've been to, there's if you look up on YouTube, Greg Braden, tumor disappears in 5 minutes. Greg Braden, he went to, there's a what they call a medicineless hospital in China, and it's basically it is on a ley line site, a bit like Stonehenge. They've been healing there for something like 2,000 years, they say. But people, it's a medicineless hospital where it has no actual, it only has, like acupressure and whatnot. But they have people with tumors, cancer tumors, and they have a live scan, and they take a photograph. They take a photograph of the tumor and have a live scan, and there's about 3 of them normally around them, and they chant. And all they're actually saying is Chinese. They're saying "wassa," and "wassa" means it's already done. It's already happened. It's already complete. So that's all they're actually saying. And they're saying "wassa, sa, sa, wassa." And there's the video of Greg Braden. You hear it. You'll hear it. You'll see it. And within 5 minutes, this tumor basically disappears. It's dissolving and it's totally gone. And that woman then was checked afterwards, and it's gone into remission. What? She was given 6 months to live, and now she's fine now. And it's, the medical profession has the acts of God list, don't they? There's a thing called the acts of God, where it's basically like the X-Files of the medical world. And there's all these different ones where these amazing things have happened. And it just goes down as acts of God because they can't explain it. They can't explain why that happened. It just does. But anyway.
That might be the most advanced medical institution in the world, then, if that's what they're doing. It really shows how powerful we are, though, honestly.
Yes.
It just really is showing us what we're all really capable of. We just got to clear.
It's so amazing that his work and Dr. Joe Dispenza's work, his new work that they did with COVID, and they also use some cancer cells as well, and it's a different experiment, but they also used healers, and so and they saw a huge difference in the cells, like they were totally changed. And what I think is what was interesting is that when the healers, so they put these cancer cells in this incubator, and they had these healers sending like healing energy right to the incubator for like 20 minutes, and only in those 20 minutes, the degrees of the incubator changed by like 1 degree, and it was 36.9. And if you're familiar, 369 is those numbers are very known in the spiritual community. Tesla knew about them, and they're like, so like for manifesting, they use them for manifesting now, but so that was the number that was on there for the full 20 minutes while these people were sending the energy. And as soon as they got up and hugged each other, it changed back to whatever the setting was originally, right? And so the guy mentioned it when I watched this webinar, and he didn't pay attention he didn't really mention anything about the numbers, but in my mind it stuck like, wow, what a coincidence that those are the numbers that were on there and they were healing that. But I digress, What I wanted to say was that the future, the reason that people are don't care about the placebo effect is I feel like they're just desensitized, like they're just like, oh, like it's just something that happens. They think that it's something that happens sporadically. And so with all these healers that are coming online now, we're going to start healing each other while healing ourselves first, and that's going to have other people want to heal also, and so we're going to be sharing this. So it's going to be a merging of all these medicines, all these practices together. And I think it's going to be amazing.
So folks, you've heard it here. Coming soon will be John's microgreens, Sifu Boggie's Qigong, and Luna's music therapy camp.
Yes.
Well, I'm planting that seed, guys. Just you know, Jedi mind trick.
Camp and retreat center. Okay. Oh my God, that's beautiful. So you guys, it's been so lovely talking to you guys. I don't want to end the show, but I must. And we are going to hop on another show. And what are we going to be talking about? Consciousness, I think, or what?
Yeah.
You have any?
That's a big topic all on its own.
Yeah, we can go on a long time about that one.
Oh yeah, we'll get deep on that. So we need a whole episode to talk about consciousness. That's coming up next. If any of the people listening or watching on YouTube, if you have a topic that you want us to talk about, leave it in the comments. Drop it like it's hot. Let us know, and we will talk about it. Okay. Thank you guys so much.
Yeah, send us some questions. Make it more spicy for us. You know, throw in a few questions. We'll definitely instigate them, as we are the instigators. So
yes, all the questions are welcome, my darlings. All right, until next time, mucho love.
Thank you, Luna. Thanks for having us.
Bye now. Love, chi, and shit.